Hey guys, Chris Iobeast here, and welcome to a new playthrough on the still relatively new TEW IX. Now, I know I said I'd be playing as a booker for WWE in a different year, but again, after talking with my brother Sam about it, he was more excited about me playing as a booker in not just a different year, but also a different company, and thus, I'm going to be booking TNA in January 2010. So this particular mod was created for TEW 2020 originally by Steesh07, and the mod is called The Game Changes Now. It can be found on BeTheBooker.net and I think the TWDB forum website too. So this is a mod that essentially was created for the TEW 2020 database that's been converted to TEW IX. So just before I get into this save, I just want to mention the elephant in the room, the invasion mod. No, the mod is not dead. That is the good news. The bad news is, however, I'm still having technical issues with my laptop, and so far I'm only a third of the way through episode 25, SmackDown. Hopefully that episode will be up sometime at the end of next month. So whilst I'm trying to figure out the tech stuff on the laptop, in the meantime, I just thought I wanted to give TEW IX a chance as a result. So, this is the demo version I'm currently playing, which means that this series will only go up to the end of March. As I said, my original plan was to do a WWE save in 2010. Unoriginal, I know, but I just like the idea of having a Raw Rumble at the end of the January pay-per-view, which leads to the end of March, in which the pay-per-view I'll have booked as WrestleMania, essentially ending the biggest show to end the demo. But when speaking to Sam about it, he liked the idea of me doing a different company instead. So we've chosen TNA more so because Hulk Hogan debuts in TNA this time. And it's also given me the challenge of perhaps jumbling up some of the pay-per-view shows as well. The idea to create a main event show on one of the A pay-per-views. So I've jiggled around the calendar for this TNA save, and I'll get onto that during this introductory episode. So, whilst this laptop is being temperamental at the moment, I'm just hoping that it's having one of its good days right now. So, I'm going to stylize this particular TNA save. In essence, this is going to be the opposite of Invasion with how I do everything within this particular mod. So I'm going to be more forthcoming with everything. This will be a stripped down version as opposed to the story and visual heavy style that I've been using for the Invasion storyline. More so because I'm not worrying about messing up with visuals to tell a story. And it'll also mean that I'm uploading videos and I'll be quicker in uploading these videos, and it'll be more convenient as well. So there'll essentially, hopefully, be at least an episode a week, all being well. No visuals, more breaking of kayfabe, so at least certainly not as much kayfabe in this. I'm going to be more accountable with this save, mostly because I'm still unfamiliar with some of the new aspects of the game. I will be doing long promos and terrible impressions as well, maybe just the odd impression, brother, but I just want to keep this channel alive by at least attempting something different, whilst I'm still waiting to progress through the Invasion storyline. So, in this introductory episode, I just want to briefly go through some of the regular features as well as the new ones, just in this introductory episode. I'll try my best not to be too long and waffle too much. I just want to highlight, really, some of the changes that I made before I head into the first episode. Right, so I'm just going to start with the roster screen. I'm not going to go into too much with the roster and everything. Some of you may have a good idea with what was going on in TNA this time, some of you may not. I'll try and do my best to try and create a story with what's happened in the previous pay-per-view, which I believe was Final Resolution, and how this will tie into Genesis. I know there's been a couple of episodes of Impact in between then and now when Hulk Hogan debuts. Some of it should feel the same, other it might be a little bit different, but I'll try my best to create a story so that it makes sense as to who I'm booking as of why, and I'll be more forthcoming with I'm going to be using this wrestler a lot because I like them, etc, etc. Obviously, just the main point to consider is there are a lot of baby faces in the major star slot. I've still not decided yet if I'm going to turn or who I'm going to turn to a heel. I do want to present some as a heel, although they're technically a babyface. I know again it might get a little bit more complex. Um, there is somebody I'm certainly going to build up to be a bigger heel, in a more major star heel in the process. Depending on if my booking is successful or not, we'll wait and see. The only thing I just want to mention really are just some of the cosmetic changes. For instance, Jay Lethal starts out as being known as Black Machismo Jay Lethal. I've just got rid of the Black Machismo name. He's just known as Jay Lethal. I could have kept it, but then I'd want more consistency. So it's either if Jay Lethal's going to have his nickname as his full name, then I want the Abyss to be known as the Monster Abyss, Bobby Lashley to be known as the Destroyer Lashley, AJ Styles to be known as the Phenomenal AJ Styles. It's too much work. It's just easier to keep Jay Lethal as just Jay Lethal. Kiyoshi, he was originally known as Akira Raijin in this mod. That's his real name, but I don't think he was ever used his real name when he was wrestling in TNA. So I've just changed his name back to Kiyoshi. Brutus Magnus is just simply known as Magnus. I think he was still known as Brutus Magnus at this point, but he's now starting to get rid of the Brutus part because the TNA started to give it up on the modern day gladiator character, and he's just essentially the tag team partner of Doug Williams, two snobby Englishmen known as the British Invasion. So Brutus Magnus is now just known as Magnus. Eric Young, I think he had a bearded photo. I've changed his photo to bald and no facial hair. It's a bit more of a modern photo, but this is how he looked in 2010. Recently during his Lead with the World Elite days, although the World Elite I believe have now finished as a stable, so I've just changed his picture to more resemble his 2010 look. And speaking of changing names, I changed Magnus from Brutus Magnus changed Brutus Magnus to Magnus because I didn't like the Brutus part. Ironically, with Daniels, I've added Christopher as his name again. He's Christopher Daniels because I didn't like the idea of him just being called Daniels. Just pure cosmetic change. It's me being pedantic, if anything, really. Only thing to mention as well about the roster screen, I'm going to give everyone, I think it's $1,000 bonus. I just want everyone to be happy and see how well I do whilst everybody's still in a good mood. Maybe I'm cheating, but I'm TNA and I've got the money to do it, so I'm going to do it. But at the same time, I don't want to be dragging stories down too much and getting people getting to backstage fights unnecessarily. Maybe I should have done it like that. I don't know. I'll let you decide. But I'm just going to give everybody a bit of a morale bonus. Product. I've only made one change here. It's still classic sports entertainment. I'm going to keep it as it is. I actually don't really know the difference between Match Focus, the 3-ring circus, and the one that I used for Invasion, which I think was a regular focus. If you know that, by all means, please tell me. I don't know if it will make any changes to the scores. But this is a 3-ring focus, 3-ring circus. I'm happy to leave it as that. The only thing to mention is I've changed the face-heel divide to loosely enforced. Just the idea with the fact that, and I don't think this is much of a spoiler, when it comes to booking the first show Impact, and which leads to the main event, Genesis pay-per-view, it was advertising real life that it would be AJ Styles facing off against Kurt Angle for the TNA World title, both of which are baby faces, good guys in this. I'm probably going to do the same in my version as well. So I don't want the face-heel divide to be strictly enforced because it's going to punish what essentially will be a great match between two of the best wrestlers in TNA, if not wrestling in America at this point. So face-heel divide will be loosely enforced. Storylines. I've just changed the wording of some of these storylines, but essentially they're the same 5 as what I built into the game. Coming out of the previous pay-per-view. So Desmond Wolfe versus Kurt Angle. TNA's the self-destruction of Bobby Lashley. The Knockouts title, Tara defending against ODB. Tag team titles, the British Invasion. This was originally the British Invasion versus Beer Money versus Motor City Machine Guns. I'm just going to have British Invasion versus Beer Money. I'm probably going to have that for Genesis pay-per-view match. I will get into more as to who the Motor City Machine Guns will face later during the first episode. And yet, the TNA World title, AJ Styles versus Daniels. Because I say I'm going to be a lot more forthcoming, I don't want to give too much away, but I will say the TNA World title storyline between Styles and Daniels and the Desmond Wolfe versus Kurt Angle storyline, I'm probably going to end in the first episode, and then that will lead to Styles versus Angle at the Genesis pay-per-view. Desmond Wolfe and Christopher Daniels, they'll be going to their own storyline feud. Again, I'll explain more as I go along within each particular episode. Titles, I have made one change. Eric Young, who was known as the TNA Global Champion, I've changed the name Global to Television. I just didn't really like the idea of the word Global as a title. You know, the idea is to perhaps make titles, names sound more prestigious, but in essence this was to me a secondary title, and I don't see the problem with it calling it television title. It distinguishes it from World Heavyweight. I think World Heavyweight and Global, it's a little bit tricky to see who's who. So I'm going to call Eric Young our TNA Television Champion, but the rest stay the same. Stables, I've gotten rid of two of the stables. Psych Ward, which was Raven, Steven Richards and Daphne. In essence, they can just be a tag team with Daphne coming in as a valet, or one of them could be in a match and the other two, or one or whatever, accompany them. I don't even know if I'm going to have them together for that long anyway, so I don't see the point of having them as a stable. The only other stable was World Elite, which was Eric Young, British Invasion, I think Homicide and Kiyoshi as well. I think at this point, World Elite as a stable is done. Eric Young's now moved on to somewhat of a friendly story with Kevin Nash. At this moment in time, I believe they're friends, although I'm sure that changes. So I've gone rid of World Elite. I'm not going to be having them as a stable. So just the Beautiful People and the British Invasion remain. So of the new features, the booking team, which is a really interesting idea of a more interactive way of trying to get good scores by spending creative energy. And obviously, the more bookers and better bookers that you have with their booking skills, the more CE or creative energy you can get, which obviously means you can purchase a storyline idea or a finishing move idea. I've played it for a bit and it seems really interesting. I'm more interested in not really upsetting the morale of the locker room. And I don't know if that's perhaps the right way to do it. So in essence, I'm going to be hiring some talent who are have got very good booking skills. And for the fact that they don't have any relationships with any of the roster, or if they do, then they're on good terms with that particular member of the roster. I just want to keep everybody happy. Again, it might be the wrong way to do it. Let me know your thoughts. One person I have recruited is Scott D'Amore, because his booking skill is decent, but more so because he's the mentor of quite a few of the roster. So I've just brought him in as well. I know you definitely need at least one other person as a member of the booking team. Otherwise, if you're on your own and your CE is less than the show's total, then you'll get a punished score at the end of it or something. So Scott D'Amore's on my booking team at the moment. I'm probably going to be recruiting a few more. Again, I will let you know in the episode. And again, the other new feature, Inner Circle. Again, I'm just deliberately hiring people that I know kind of won't upset the balance of the morale. And again, trying to aim for people who are good at what they can do in a particular role, that also have friends who are also on the roster as well, so it makes everybody else happy. So in essence, I'm going to have head women's trainer. So I know you can have male wrestlers as women's trainers, which is really good. So I'm going to have Christopher Daniels as the head women's trainer, and I think I'm going to have Samoa Joe as head men's trainer. They've got good skills, and they're good friends with like others like AJ Styles and Frankie Kazarian, who's the masked suicide in this game. So I'm going to have them as the trainers. Senior referee, there's only 3. I'll choose the best, which is Earl Hebner. Can't see that causing any issues. I don't know if I'm going to do any more for like enforcers or locker room leaders. If I do make any changes between now and the first episode, I will let you know before the show starts. Just one more thing to mention regarding this introduction. When it comes to booking shows and the pay-per-view calendar, so I'm only going to book Impact. Explosion I'll do myself behind the scenes. For the first show, for the first Impact, I will make it a 3-hour show on a Monday. Just to give you that little bit of hype, like Hulk Hogan's coming and they're going to go ahead with WWE. In essence, I'm probably only going to do it just this first particular episode. So Impact is going to be on a Monday night for 3 hours, just this first episode, and then the next episodes will continue to be every Thursday for a 2-hour episode. As far as the pay-per-view calendar goes, so we'll only be able to go up to the end of March. So the pay-per-views will be Genesis in January, Victory Road in February, and Lockdown, the All Cage pay-per-view in March. Just because I like the idea that essentially you've got, like with WWE, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, an A pay-per-view, a B pay-per-view, and it ends in an A pay-per-view. So essentially building up to, although I'd say Bound for Glory is TNA's flagship show, I don't want to go changing that just for the benefit of this particular save. More so because if there's a chance that if people actually like this demo, and I like it too, then there is the incentive for me to actually buy the game and continue with this save. But just for the time being anyway, Genesis will be in January, Victory Road in February, and Lockdown, the All Steel Cage pay-per-view, will be the final show of this particular mod. Before I sign off, I just want to give out the usual thank yous. Sam, my brother, as always, for the inspiration. Hopefully you'll enjoy this as much as the Invasion mod, even though it's going to be a little bit stripped down. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. But I also want to give a shout out to 2 other YouTubers who are currently playing this mod as we speak. Now, they're both playing TNA 2010, but they're doing it for TEW 2020, the previous game. So it's good to see that's still alive. So I want to give a shout out to Colin's World, who has been doing this and has just finished a Genesis pay-per-view in January, and the Bookerman, who has been doing this for years now. I think he's in early 2012 with his save. Absolutely fantastic stuff. What I like about Colin's World and the Bookerman's stories is that they're different in the sense that Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff in their saves have not joined TNA. Paul Heyman has joined TNA. In round about this time in 2010, Paul Heyman went on record in an interview he did with Ariel Helwani, where he was noted as saying, yeah, if he took over TNA, he'd want to work with the younger stars like Styles, Daniels, Beer Money, but anybody who's still wrestling at the age of 40, he would cut their head off. Metaphorically speaking, I imagine. Anybody who's over the age of 40, thank you for paving the way, but you're out of TNA. I just want to work with the younger stars, Paul Heyman has said. So Colin's World and the Bookerman have adopted these particular ways of doing their stories in their mods. So they're very good, and I'd highly recommend you check them both out. So shout out to Colin's World and the Bookerman. Right, so I think I've covered everything in this introductory episode. So, a new year and a new regime. The day the wrestling world thought they would never see Hulk Hogan in a TNA ring. Change is coming, and on January 4th, history will be witnessed as the Immortal One will make his debut in Total Non-Stop Action Wrestling, as TNA goes head-to-head with WWE on a Monday night in a 3-hour special. But what does Hogan have in mind for TNA? What changes will be seen? And how will the TNA superstars react to the debut of the Hulkster? We'll find out in 3 days' time as the immortal Hulk Hogan crosses the line and debuts on TNA Impact. So, speaking of New Year, New Regime, I might actually try and aim to get the first episode out on January the 4th. Obviously, if I'm doing shorter videos, I might be able to match these up to the dates of the game itself. One thing that I do like about this new game. So, hopefully this gives me the opportunity as well to see how well TEW IX goes for me. But at the same time as well, it gives me a chance to sign off in 2024. So, I hope you all have had a great Christmas or happy holidays if you don't celebrate Christmas. And I hope you all have a fantastic new year. I will see you in 2025, maybe in January 4th, in TEW IX. And as ever, thank you so much for watching.